Nestled in the Pacific Northwest, Washington State is a land of towering evergreens, majestic mountains, and a history as rich as its natural beauty. From the first footsteps of Native American tribes to the rise of tech giants in Seattle, Washington has a story that stretches across centuries. Today, we'll uncover 20 fascinating facts and details that highlight the incredible journey of the Evergreen State. So, whether you're a history buff or just curious about what makes Washington truly unique, you're in the right place. And as we journey through this tale, be sure to let us know in the comments if you catch all 20 facts along the way. Once upon a time, long before the skyscrapers of Seattle pierced the sky, the land that would become Washington State was a vast, untamed wilderness. Towering evergreens brushed the clouds, rivers teemed with salmon, and the air was thick with the calls of eagles soaring above. This land was home to ancient tribes, the Coast Salish, the Yakima, the Spokane, who had lived here for thousands of years. They spoke in languages that echoed the rhythm of the rivers and the whisper of the wind. Their lives were intertwined with the land, every tree, every stream, a part of their soul. But as the 18th century dawned, whispers of strangers from across the sea began to reach the coastal villages. One day, in 1775, the people looked out over the water and saw something they had never seen before: great ships with billowing sails, like enormous white birds gliding silently toward the shore. These ships belonged to the Spanish, led by a man named Bruno de Heceta, who claimed the land for a distant king. The native people watched, curious and cautious, as the newcomers explored their shores. Years passed, and more ships arrived. In 1792, a British captain named George Vancouver sailed into Puget Sound. With a careful eye, he mapped the coastline, naming the places he found, leaving behind a legacy of names that would last through the ages: Vancouver Island, Mount Rainier, and of course, Puget Sound itself. But these names were just words on a map. The land still belonged to the tribes who called it home. In 1805, two explorers, Lewis and Clark, arrived from the east, their journey driven by a quest to discover the vast lands acquired by their young nation. They marveled at the beauty of the land, recording every detail in their journals, notes that would open the door for more to follow. The native tribes they met treated them with a mix of curiosity and caution, sharing food, stories, and knowledge of the land that stretched to the horizon and beyond. As the years went by, the land of Washington became a crossroads for traders and trappers. The Hudson's Bay Company built Fort Vancouver in 1824, a bustling hub of commerce where furs, goods, and stories were exchanged. But with every trade, the world of the native tribes began to change. Old ways were challenged by new, and the land that had been theirs for generations began to slip from their grasp. The pioneers who settled in Washington brought with them the seeds of change. As their numbers grew, so did the tensions between them and the native tribes. The tribes, who had lived in harmony with the land for generations, saw their hunting grounds shrinking, their way of life threatened. The settlers, eager to establish farms and towns, pushed further into the wilderness, often clashing with the indigenous people who called this land home. By the 1850s, the U.S. government recognized the need to formalize its control over the region. In 1853, Washington Territory was officially established, named after the first president of the United States. The new territory stretched from the Pacific Ocean to the Rocky Mountains, a vast and wild land full of promise and conflict. As settlers continued to pour in, the government negotiated treaties with the native tribes, often under pressure and with little regard for the consequences. The result was a series of bloody conflicts, known as the Indian Wars, which left scars on the land and its people. In the midst of this turmoil, the territory began to grow. Towns sprang up, roads were built, and the first industries took root. The logging industry, in particular, thrived in Washington's dense forests. The giant trees that had stood for centuries were felled and floated down rivers to sawmills, where they were cut into lumber to build homes, ships, and railroads. The landscape began to change as the forests gave way to farms and towns. One of the most significant moments in Washington's early history came in 1889, when the territory was finally admitted to the Union as the 42nd state. The people of Washington celebrated their new status with pride, eager to take their place in the growing nation. But statehood also brought new challenges, as the state grappled with issues of development, industry, and the rights of its native peoples. As the 20th century dawned, Washington was a state on the rise. The city of Seattle, once a small outpost, began to boom, fueled by the timber industry and the arrival of the Northern Pacific Railway. The Great Northern Railway, completed in 1893, connected Seattle to the rest of the country, bringing new opportunities and new people to the region. Seattle quickly became the gateway to Alaska and the Klondike Gold Rush, its streets bustling with prospectors, merchants, and adventurers, all seeking their fortune. The early 20th century brought waves of innovation and growth to Washington state. In 1909, Seattle hosted the Alaska Yukon Pacific Exposition, a World's Fair that showcased the city's transformation from a frontier town to a bustling metropolis. The fair attracted millions of visitors and put Seattle on the map as a major hub of commerce and culture in the Pacific Northwest. It was a symbol of the state's ambition and its role as a gateway to the Pacific and beyond. As the state grew, so did its industries. The timber industry remained a cornerstone of the economy, but new industries began to emerge. Agriculture flourished in the fertile valleys of central Washington, where the construction of irrigation projects transformed arid land into productive farmland. The Yakima Valley became known for its apples, while the Columbia Basin produced wheat, potatoes, and other crops that fed the nation. But it was the rise of the aerospace industry that would truly change the course of Washington's history. In 1916, William Boeing founded the Boeing Company in Seattle, starting with seaplanes and quickly expanding into military aircraft during World War I. The company grew rapidly, and by the time World War II erupted, Boeing was producing bombers and other aircraft critical to the war effort. Washington became a hub of wartime production, with thousands of workers flocking to the state to build the planes that would help secure victory. The post-war years saw Boeing continue to grow, solidifying its place as a global leader in aerospace. The company's success helped drive Washington's economy and put the state at the forefront of technological innovation. The 1960s saw the development of the iconic Boeing 747, the world's first jumbo jet, which revolutionized air travel and cemented Boeing's legacy. But Washington wasn't just known for its industry. The state also played a key role in the environmental movement. In 1962, Seattle marine biologist Rachel Carson published Silent Spring, a groundbreaking book that highlighted the dangers of pesticides and sparked a national conversation about environmental conservation. Her work inspired a new generation of activists who fought to protect Washington's natural beauty and ensure that the state's forests, rivers, and wildlife would be preserved for future generations. As Washington state moved into the latter half of the 20th century, it continued to evolve and adapt to the changing times. The 1962 World's Fair, held in Seattle, was a pivotal event that showcased the state's forward-thinking spirit. The fair introduced the world to the Space Needle, an architectural marvel that symbolized humanity's aspirations for space exploration. The event attracted millions of visitors and positioned Seattle as a city of the future, filled with optimism and technological promise. The tech boom of the late 20th century further transformed Washington. In 1979, a small software company called Microsoft relocated its headquarters to Bellevue, just outside Seattle. Founded by Bill Gates and Paul Allen, Microsoft would go on to become one of the world's most influential tech companies, revolutionizing personal computing and the software industry. The rise of Microsoft helped turn the Seattle area into a thriving tech hub, attracting talent and investment from around the world. As the tech industry flourished, so too did the state's commitment to innovation. Washington became a leader in environmental policy, promoting renewable energy and sustainable practices. The state's abundant hydroelectric power, generated by dams on the Columbia River, provided clean energy to millions of residents and supported the growth of its industries. At the same time, environmentalists worked to balance the needs of development with the preservation of Washington's natural landscapes, ensuring that the state's forests, mountains, and coastlines remained protected for future generations. Washington's cultural landscape also blossomed during this period. The state became known for its vibrant music scene, particularly in the 1990s, when the grunge movement took the world by storm. Bands like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and Soundgarden emerged from Seattle, bringing a raw, alternative sound that resonated with a generation. Seattle's music scene became a defining element of the state's identity, adding to its reputation as a center of creativity and innovation. As the 21st century dawned, Washington continued to be a place of growth and opportunity. The state's diverse economy, driven by technology, aerospace, agriculture, and more, made it one of the most dynamic regions in the country. Seattle, now a global city, attracted people from all walks of life, drawn by its thriving job market, rich culture, and stunning natural beauty. In the early years of the 21st century, Washington state cemented its role as a leader in innovation, sustainability, and culture. As companies like Amazon rose to global prominence, Seattle became a powerhouse of e-commerce, shaping the way the world shops and does business. The rapid growth of these tech giants brought unprecedented change to the state, transforming Seattle into one of the fastest-growing cities in the country, with towering skyscrapers and bustling streets that reflected the city's newfound wealth and influence. But with this growth came challenges. The influx of people and the booming economy led to rising housing costs and increased pressure on the state's infrastructure. As Washington grappled with these issues, it also faced the realities of climate change. The state's commitment to environmental stewardship became more important than ever, with efforts to reduce carbon emissions, protect natural resources, and invest in clean energy leading the way. Washington set ambitious goals for renewable energy and sustainability, becoming a model for other states to follow. The state's diverse population also played a crucial role in shaping its future. With a growing number of immigrants and people from various cultural backgrounds, Washington became a vibrant tapestry of communities. This diversity enriched the state's culture, bringing new traditions, foods, and perspectives that made Washington a truly global place. As the state looks toward the future, it continues to balance the demands of growth with the need to preserve its natural beauty and heritage. The lessons of Washington's past, its respect for the land, its spirit of innovation, and its commitment to community guide it as it faces the challenges and opportunities of the 21st century. Washington State's story is one of resilience, creativity, and progress. From the ancient tribes who first called this land home to the tech pioneers who shaped the modern world, Washington's history is a testament to the enduring spirit of its people. And as the state continues to evolve, it remains a place where the possibilities are as endless as the evergreen forests that stretch to the horizon. And there you have it, the rich and dynamic history of Washington State, a place where the past meets the future in a land of natural wonders and human ingenuity. If you enjoyed this journey through time, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more stories that bring history to life. Your support helps us continue to explore and share the incredible stories of places like Washington. Thanks for watching, and we can't wait to take you on another adventure in our next video.